Building your own gaming PC in 2021 is next to impossible, with graphics cards either out of stock or stupidly expensive. Could buying a pre-built in 2021 be the answer we're all looking for? Well, we think so. So we've compiled our top 10 pre-built deals that you can buy right now in the US and the UK. We're going to show you what's great, but also what to avoid so you don't get ripped off. Let's do this. There's plenty of sites out there selling pre-builts that you can buy pretty much right now. Worst case, you might have to wait 14 days, but in the grand scheme of things, that's pretty much nothing. From Origin PC on the higher end to iBuyPower and CyberPower on the lower end of the spectrum, which ones should you go for and which should you avoid? Well, let's start off by looking at CyberPower PC. You can see here they've got a range of systems pretty much in stock and ready to buy in the US at various different prices. One of the first systems on the site that stands out to me is this Gamer Essential Esports PC. It comes equipped with a Ryzen 5 5600X and an RTX 3060, so a very capable combo, in around $1,600. Now, if you were to build this yourself in normal market conditions where stock was normal, you'd be spending around about $1,200-$1,300 for this setup. So paying another $300-$400 US, but being able to buy it right now is actually not too bad. You also get 16 gigabytes of RAM, you get an Asus B550 motherboard, a 1TB NVMe drive, so that's a massive, massive plus, and of course Windows 10 as standard. Now, if you wanted to spend a bit more money, you could get this one here with a 6700 XT. As much as the 6700 XT is a good card, I wouldn't pay another $300 US to go from a 3060 to a 6700 XT, especially when you're going from Ryzen to Intel and Ryzen 5000 to Intel 10th gen. Avoid that one. If you wanted to spend a bit more money, they've also got one here with an RTX 3070 and a Ryzen 7 5800X for $2,300 US. Once again, if you were looking to build this yourself, it's probably going to cost you in the region of about $2,000 in kind of pre-2021 levels. And there's some pretty good options in there from CyberPower PC, at least over in the States. Now, the next system builder I want to talk about is iBuyPower. Now, they've been embroiled in big controversy recently with Gamers Nexus. Steve went and took a massive old swipe at iBuyPower, and that's actually a bit of a shame. I'm not saying that the points he raised were wrong. They simply weren't. iBuyPower's quality control is obviously not good enough. But the reason that is a shame is that they've actually got some of the best value pre-builts on the market right now. For $750, you can get a GTX 1650 Super build. We managed to build actually a 1650 Super system for $750, but with used components. So this is actually a really, really good value shout. Move a little bit further down the list, I'd avoid the RX 580 if I were you. And for $1,100, just down here, you can actually get an i5 11400F, one of the best budget CPUs on the market right now, with, look at this, a GTX 1660 Super. And the options at iBuyPower actually get better the further you look. This system here, and we'll link all the systems, of course, in the description below, has an RTX 3070 for $2,049. That's about $200-$300 cheaper than a comparable system over at CyberPower PC. Yes, it does have an i7-11700KF, although that's not a bad CPU. Just because we prefer Ryzen doesn't mean Intel chips will bottleneck the 3070. That system is perfectly balanced. And there's a reason a lot of system integrators like iBuyPower use Intel CPUs. It's because they get them cheaper. To put into context how good of a deal this system actually is, if you go over to eBay and look at RTX 3080 listings, they're starting at about $2,000, aka the same amount that this whole 3070 PC costs. So you can either get a scalped 3080 on eBay or an entire 3070 system for less money. Now, what if you wanted to go over to Origin PC? Probably one of the most reputable system builders on the list, of course owned by Corsair as well, so you know you're going to be in safe hands. Well, you are going to pay a little bit more for the privilege, but that doesn't mean that there aren't some potentially decent options out there. I wouldn't advise going onto Origin PC if you're looking for a budget system, as you're not going to find one. But if you're looking for an RTX 3070 or 80 tier system, they might have a few decent options. So let's use the configurator and see what we're able to achieve. Okay, so I've gone ahead and spec'd up one of their Neuron systems. I have skimped out a little bit on the case and the CPU and the colors just to kind of bring the price down a bit, but you still get an i7-10700K with a Z590 motherboard, so you can overclock this if you like. 16 gigabytes of Corsair RAM and a Corsair cooler is not a bad option. And you've got an RTX 3070. This comes in at around $2,480 US, so around about $200-300 more than on iBuyPower and about $200 more than on CyberPower. But Origin are one of the best rated system integrators out there. So if you're more worried about quality control and making sure you're in the right hands, then this might be something to consider. Plus, with shipping in 19 to 21 business days, you can have your system within 3 weeks. This 21-day shipping window might seem like an absolute eternity in the age of Prime, next day or 2-day delivery. However, you could have this system by the end of the month. Imagine if you'd ordered the PC a few months ago, you'd have had it for 8 weeks by now. And I think this is personally better than going onto eBay, paying way over the odds, and then potentially still losing the auction after a week. But James, I haven't got the money knocking about for a high-end PC. What about if I want something on the budget end of the market and I don't want to shop with iBuyPower for the reasons we talked about earlier? Well, this is where NZXT's Build comes in, or Bullada, as I like to call it. Now, NZXT Build is a great option for the budget buyers on the market. Their starter series comes in from $999 US, so let's take a look what we actually get for our money. So you can see here we've got an i5 with a GTX 1650, not a 1650 Super. Not awful, but also not great. The Starter Plus series, though, is where you might find yourself getting a bit more lucky. You can see here we've got a 1660 Super. We've once again got that same i5. Would have liked to have seen a Ryzen 5 here. But you do get 16 gigs of RAM, which is always a bonus. And you get an NVMe SSD, which means much faster boot up times into your favourite games. One huge advantage of NZXT Build as well is that you do get NZXT components. So you tend to get a slightly higher quality finish to your build, and you don't get some horrible white label knockoff chassis. So that's basically the US range covered off. A couple of honourable mentions coming from the likes of Alienware, a brand I would never normally recommend, but something you shouldn't overlook, as iBuyPower, CyberPower, and even NZXT Build are perhaps better at taking advantage of the huge demand in the market right now. But what about if you're over in the UK? And US viewers, stay tuned, because some of these deals might actually surprise you quite a lot. So we're looking at the range of AlphaSync systems available from eBuyer, which I'll link alongside all the other components down below. You can see here we're actually able to pick up a 3060 system for just over £1,000. That's an absolute bargain. And a GTX 1050 Ti PC for around 680. Now, US viewers, here in the UK, this includes all our sales tax. So you can basically say that this thing costs $700 equivalent, which is absolutely crazy. It gets better though. If you wanted to jump up to, say, I don't know, an RTX 3070, you can do that. Look at this system over here for around £1,400, $1,400. That is absolutely ridiculous. AlphaSync have just launched as well their brand new configurator, so you can go on, spec the system up exactly how you like. And I really like it when brands have this, because it means you can change individual components and see how much you're being charged for that, CPU upgrade compared to what it would cost you if you went out and bought it yourself in a normal market. So you can see here I've spec'd up an RTX 3060 PC with 16 gigs of RAM for under £1,000. That's even cheaper than some of the options on the website. So it's great that they let you do this, and it's definitely worth a look if you're here in the UK. And with that, that pretty much wraps it up for today's look at the top sort of 10 pre-builts you can buy right now. Try and avoid eBay and unknown pre-built or independent builders that haven't got decent reviews, and stick with some of the named players. As I say, it's a real shame some of the stuff that kind of got exposed about iBuyPower recently by Gamers Nexus, and I wouldn't discount them completely, because I do believe that in the US, based on price alone, they are the best value option right now. As I say though, that pretty much wraps it up for today's video. If you enjoyed it, you know what to do. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.